Hi, my name is Shelby Bagley. Think about the last meal you had. Now think about how much of that was genetically modified foods. The Environmental Working Group analysts did a study showing that Americans eat more than their body weight in genetically modified foods. On average, the American eats 193 pounds of genetically modified foods in a 12-month period. If you were going to eat your body weight and more in foods, wouldn't you want to know if it was safe or not? In the article Why We Need GMO Labels by David Schubert, he discusses the importance of GMO labelings of the consumer foods, as well as how GMOs negatively affect the health risk and environment. The major concerns with why GMOs should be labeled is the environmental dangers and health risks associated. I have done a lot of research online and have read a lot of literature about why GMOs should be labeled and what are GMOs. Firstly, I will discuss what are GMOs, and secondly, I will talk about the health risks associated with consuming GMO foods. And finally, I will talk about the environmental dangers that are due to the genetically modified cultivating. A growing current issue is the effects of the cultivating of GMOs. So what are GMOs? To the Non-GMO Project, it classifies these organisms as genetic material that has been artificially manipulated in the lab through genetic engineering. GMOs were first introduced into crops when they were trying to possess genes in other crops, such as requiring less water for drought-stricken areas and for resisting insects and diseases in their areas as well. Despite the GMOs being developed in 1983, it is only recently that the effects of these GMOs have been studied. One of the most important concerns around GMOs is the degree of effect it has on human health risks. A large range of effects have correlated to the consumption of these organisms which have gone under gene manipulation. A clinical and lab investigation done by Bernstein and other authors spoke about how they expressed concern related to the growing of GMOs and consumption, which are the production of new allergens, the increase in toxicity, the decrease of nutrition, and the antibiotic resistance, which comes along with it. Genetically engineered organisms transfer allergens from the implanted genes, which are taken from their host plant. A study done by New England Journal of Medicine demonstrated the danger of these allergen transfers when a gene from a Brazilian nut was transferred into soybeans, which caused a lot of nut-related allergic reactions, which was a direct effect of consuming the GMOs. Also, GMOs can produce their own unique allergens, which is another cause to our health effects. The stability of the chemical structure is also a question of a GMO, which consists of different characteristics when undergone gene manipulation, creating concern of characteristics which can include toxicity and what degree of toxicity is within the GMOs. This can only be determined through extensive study, which was reported by the Center of Food Safety. The GMO producers use chemicals in genetically engineering that have not been given enough time to be studied. Since no labeling on the food, consumers are unaware of these health risks. One concern before even eating the genetically modified foods is within the growing process, which is the lower nutritional value, which is compared to the conventional growing process. Nutrition is based off chemical components, and where a gene is replaced in favor of another, nutrition can suffer. On the other hand, Effects can be hidden for many years and later in years find correlation due to the GMOs. This is an example of the development of antibiotic resistance due to gene manipulation of the origin, which is already in our system, which in later down the life will have no cost to us if the doctor prescribes it. In the article, Assessing the Survival of Transgenic Plant DNA in the Human Gastrointestinal Tract, you digest the genetically modified foods which are anti-resistant, which will be absorbed into your blood system, allowing your body to adapt to those resistance. Another issue is the environmental risk that comes along with it. A major issue is the cause of the growing plant. The growing of like a weed, which is the development of herbicide being resistant, which is the common plants that are classified as commercial weeds. Due to this adaptation, so-called super weeds are starting to grow in fields, requiring producers to only increase the amount of chemicals used on them to create the resistance. As well, soil erosion has become an issue, and in the article by the Health Heathens, it speaks about how genetically modified crops mostly use the toxin glyphosate to make genetically modified crops resistant to the certain insects and as well weeds. These chemicals have caused the soil to are absorbed into the soil and depleting of all nutritional value and components. As the soil dries and erodes, causing dust storms in the fields, which causes GMO seeds to be carried into nearby water sources. How can we, the consumers, make a stand for such a broad environmental risk without first knowing which products to take a stand against? This can be remedied enforcing the labeling regulation of all products with GMOs. Overall, the information presented demonstrates the significance of why government should enforce the law of labeling all GMOs. There are two major concerns about GMOs discussed by David Schubert, and each issue can be seen to have evidence and negative weight in our society. After all evidence is presented, labeling of GMO products should be a primary concern of all consumers, as well as the United States should join the 60 plus countries who have banned or put restrictions on the production or the sales of genetically modified organisms.